What's the most kind/beautiful thing you've overheard about yourself by accident? Not me, but my daughter. We used to live next door to a couple that was a triage foster family. When law enforcement had to remove kids from a home, theirs was on the short list of approved foster homes to place the kids in right away. My daughter was in elementary school at the time, and she would go out of her way to introduce herself to the kids and take time to play with them. Several groups of kids came and went before we moved to another state. Several months after we moved, we were in town visiting, and bumped into the mom of one of my daughter's classmates. This mom is a child psychologist, and she said, "I just wanted you to know I work a lot with the kids in foster care." And I kept hearing different kids talk about their friend daughter's name. I looked at these kids' paperwork and saw they had been placed in a home next door to where you all lived. It dawned on me that they were talking about your daughter. Just so you know, she made a lot of difference in helping these kids recover from their trauma. Kiddo is a freshman in high school now, and still looks to help others. I'm a journalist. When I was working a news internship at a local TV station, I was asked to go do some quick man-on-the-street interviews on the other side of town. After we got back to the newsroom, I heard the camera guy, a veteran of like 30 years who's worked with some of the best reporters in my city, say to our executive producer, "You know, that kid's a real journalist." Gave me the biggest confidence boost ever as an intern. I'm now employed full-time at that news outlet as of 4 days ago. Edit, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who commented. In an often thankless job, it means a lot to hear such kind words of support. Merry Christmas. Overheard a tough anesthesia provider comment to the room, after she thought the door closed behind me, that she wished she had a positive attitude and sense of humor like mine. Was so stunned I lurked behind the door and heard the room agree with her on how much they liked working with me because I made the day so much easier. Edit, context, the room is an or in action. Anesthesia, surgeon, tech, assistant, circulator, me. One of my jobs is to get supplies needed intern-op, and I leave the room on occasion. Definition, tough meaning no nonsense, excellent anesthesia provider, intimidating and professional. Hard to work with, but she could take care of me any day of the week. This isn't my story, but it's my favorite. My college professor researched Egyptian mummified cats. He was back at the British Museum looking at some cats, and they had a staff shift while he was still in there. He started talking to the new guy on his way out, and the guy says, "If you're interested in mummified cats, you should talk to Professor's name. He's the world's expert in mummified cats." My professor was speechless for a moment and then said, "I'm Professor's name." And that's how he learned he was the world's expert. Edit, whoa, thanks not just for the silver but also for the huge response. I'll let my old professor know next time I see him. A couple of students were chatting about how much they enjoyed my class. Edit, thank you very much for the silver. And folks, if you have a teacher you've ever loved, try to let them know. In the exhausting sea of paperwork and disinterest, those little casual comments you make about liking a class or learning something useful, they mean much more than you think to us. And, in fact, you do too. Make sure to enjoy Christmas, but don't forget to review your materials next week. It's best to skim it so you don't forget anything over the break. I do customer service work on the phone for health insurance. One time, last week, I got someone who had already been waiting 15 minutes before speaking to anyone. It was insanely busy, so obviously he was a bit peeved at that. Turns out he was calling on behalf of his sister and brother-in-law and had some questions. I managed to do everything they needed done in a couple of minutes and gave good explanatory answers to their questions. By the end of the conversation, after saying our goodbyes, he had not yet hung up, so I heard him talk to his family about how clear and helpful I was. I can't think of any instances off the top of my head where I accidentally overheard conversations about me, but I have 2 instances in which I was directly told someone had spoken highly of me. A few times parents of students with whom I don't work with directly have told me their children talk about me at home all the time and how much they love me. A few years ago my sister came to for advice on some family drama and told me her husband and said to ask what I think. Surprised, I asked why he would send her to me. She told me that my opinion means the world to them and if I thought the other parties involved in the drama were in the wrong then it must be so. That, more than anything, has stuck with me. I was on a kind of date with my now wife. We were out with a group of mutual friends, some of whom we didn't even know we had in common. Actually, I had gone to the bathroom to make room in my belly and bladder for more beer. As I came around the corner, I heard her tell a friend of hers, one I did not know very well, "He's really sexy, and I could just talk to him forever. I'm pretty sure I love him." She and I had already been intimate and I assumed it was the booze talking, but here we are 9 years and 51 weeks later still happily married. I don't know if she knows that I heard her say that, but it really solidified in my brain that she was the one. Edit, Gold? Thank you so much. Edit 2, I kinda wish this had been its own comment rather than a reply. Gold and silver in the same thread? You people are beautiful. Thank you, and have a great Christmas. Edit 3, apparently it is its own comment. You are all still beautiful. Less than 3, not as beautiful as this one hot chick I married, but close. Went into the Dunkin' Donuts where my girlfriend works to see her and get some coffee for the long drive I was about to go on for Christmas with my family. I overheard some of my girlfriend's coworkers teasing her for spilling some things because she was looking at me instead of what she was doing. Then she told them I can't help it, he's just so damn cute. I love this woman. Edit, thanks kind stranger for my first silver. Edit round 2, thanks for my first gold. Edit round 3, well this has been an incredible Christmas, thanks to the kind stranger for my first plat. Can't wait to show all this to my girlfriend tomorrow. Edit round 4, another plat. Thank you so much. A subordinate of mine was complaining about me to 2 other employees. I was unfair, watching him like a hawk, constantly on his ass. One of the guys he was talking to is this ancient, gnarled laborer. This guy has seen some shit. He says, "Oh yeah? What did you do?" The complainer, "What? Nothing. I haven't done anything." The laborer, "Nah. You did something. 'Cause Dino Roadster ain't about no bullshit. Dino Roadster give a dude a break. Less a dude fuck with Dino Roadster. You didn't fuck with Dino Roadster, did you? Lord no. He didn't say dude. You fill in the blanks. Made it even more real. Made my whole career, being recognized by the frontline working man as a boss that ain't about no bullshit." I wanted to see if the positive post of the similar negative post could gain any traction, because in my mind I would rather scroll through the positive than the negative today. So I am going to share as well, and the following is one I remember. I am a guy and used to be a waiter while a student. It was a quiet shift and while I was busy cleaning up I overheard some of the waitresses say that I have a cute butt. Now at that time as a self-conscious and shy guy trying not to act it, it meant a lot to me. Edit, I am still trying to figure this out, but holy shit, gold and silver. Thanks so much. I'll see if I can get a pickup after popular demand, smiley face. Edit 2, but SFW. The only picture I have, and thanks everyone for the great comments and replies. Happy holidays. I suffer from pretty bad anxiety mixed in with a couple other messy things, but I put in effort to try to hide it from the real world. I participate in a number of extracurriculars in college, and one weekend during a club retreat I had gone to bed early. My best friend told me the next day that a group of people I hardly knew were talking about me for a half an hour after I went to bed about how I managed to balance being athletic, musical, and smart at the same time. They mentioned that I could talk to guys so easily and was funny in conversation. As someone who, at the time, felt like I was cracking under the pressure and stress of school, it was nice to hear that I wasn't really as bad off as I thought. I'm a high school teacher in a low-income district. I love what I do, but there are some days that are very challenging and draining. Sometimes I feel like I'm not reaching my kids or making any difference. I start to question myself as a teacher and think that I am not good enough / cut out for the job. I really fear being a bad teacher, like some I had growing up. Well, I was having one of those days. In fact, I was having one of those weeks. I had been working with a student at his desk, helping him with something I can't even remember now. But when he got it and I turned to walk away, I hear him whisper to his friend next to him, "See, now that's a good teacher, right there." I'm not embarrassed to say that I teared up in that moment. I needed to hear that reassurance from the people who matter most, my kids. My childhood best friend, call him Kurt, that I had lost touch with died a couple years ago. A couple weeks later his mom messaged me on Facebook a screenshot of another message that a former elementary school classmate of ours had sent her. It was a girl who I don't remember, but she wrote a long message about how Kurt was such a good person and the two of us were always so nice to her even though she got picked on by others, and how we were always making everyone laugh. I can only think back to my times being a typical selfish and bratty kid, but I regard myself as a good person, and it was really awesome to know that I impacted someone so positively when I was so young. I try my best to be that same good person, especially to keep Kurt's legacy alive.